5 years ago, I was scrolling on Craigslist back when it was still a useful place to buy stuff, and found a $200 08 GT500 M122 Eaton blower. Shortly after, I found a $200 LQ4 iron-headed 6-liter, and I slammed it in this 86 2+2. So it's been 5 years and well over 10, if not even 15,000 miles since I've had this blower on the car. Thought I'd do a quick update video and say what's worked and what hasn't. Buying the blower and the 6-liter were the easy part. Getting it adapted onto the 6-liter took a little bit more work. So this is actually a Magnuson truck or GTO, mid-late 2000s intake manifold that I bought. It was cracked. I don't know if somebody had the intercooler with water and it froze. Don't really know the backstory, but it had a couple cracks. Welded those up. Did some machining and design work to make an adapter plate to put the blower on the intake. I'll throw some pictures in here. And then I built some fuel rails and a throttle body. So these are home-built fuel rails. It's a 14mm end mill, I believe. Threw it on the mill. I have 80-pound injectors right now. Throttle body is in 05, I think. Silver blade LS2 silver, like throttle body off of a GTO. And the nice thing that is these blowers originally came with dual 48 or 50mm throttle bodies, similar like LT1 style where there's a small blade and a small blade. And I tried getting the stock computer to make that work. Didn't work. It worked with the engine off key on, but it didn't work with the engine running. I don't know why, but anyways, so I built an adapter plate on a friend's CNC mill. I did some CAD work and machining, and it was up and running. One thing that I did do after about 2 years is the intake air temperatures were through the roof. Over 250, I was maxing out the sensor, which sits post blower right down there, that layer, and that helped the intake air temp a lot. It dropped it sub 140. Usually it's in the 120s. After a long quarter-mile pull and a hot temperature, it'll crawl up to high 130s, low 140s. Blower drive is pretty much custom. The stock lower pulley that you usually would have a 4-rib is now 8-rib. It runs a Cummins 12-valve belt. Like a 6BT late 90s, early 2000s, or late 80s, early 90s Dodge pickup, and Mercedes SL 500 V12 pulleys. That idler is just on a homemade adapter plate, and the truck front tensioner for the alternator and power steering system, and it's cut back about 1.75 inches, so it actually lines up. Then I just swapped the 6-rib pulley for the 8-rib pulley off the Mercedes. I also threw a BTR 660 valve springs in the cylinder heads and stuck a BTR stage 2 blower cam. Honestly, it works pretty good. It knocks out low 20 miles per gallon on the highway. It has the power to just annihilate rear ends and driveline parts. And it's pretty much reliable, and I don't throw belts. It stays running. It's not a rattle box. It's got long tubes with full 3-inch out the back. Exhaust with like an X-pipe system. And overall, it works pretty darn good. I even put AC on it this year, so. If you buy the blower for $200, even $400, it's not too bad. There's actually people making intake manifolds that use some of the Magnuson blower parts, intake manifold parts, and the problem is these blowers, people ask too much money for them. A lot of them are like $800 I see as a common price. It's not worth spending $800 to put this blower on your engine because you're going to spend a lot also getting it adapted with drives. And unless you have a lathe or a mill like I do, it's a little bit harder to make work effectively. Throttle body, custom fuel rails, throttle body, adapter plate, drives, and I'm pretty darn happy with it.